From denying multiple sexual assault allegations to allegedly passing other directors' screenplays as his own, here are Sylvester Stallone's most controversial moments. Starting with the bombshell that dropped back in 2017 when an unidentified woman accused Stallone of sexual assault in the early 90s. And the Rocky star didn't waste a minute before saying her claims were made up, but things got even more complicated when, according to the charge evaluation sheet, the woman herself said that she and Stallone had a consensual relationship in 1987. This statement made many people question her credibility, and even Sylvester was ready to sue for filing a fake report. But get this, a while after the claims came out, Stallone said he had met the woman before when he was making a movie in Israel in 1987, but denied seeing her in the 90s. Interesting how that detail was conveniently left out when the news was still hot. What's even more concerning, though, is that the star had been accused of sexual abuse before, back in 2016. According to the police report, Stallone called a 16-year-old fan to his Las Vegas hotel room. The woman claimed she slept with him, but it wasn't until Sylvester's bodyguard, Mike DeLuca, entered the room that she got super uneasy. And this was when Sly forced her to have a threesome with he and DeLuca. The woman also said that the men threatened to beat her head in if she told anyone about the incident. I guess that fear stayed after all these years, because soon after the allegations came out, she dropped the charges against Stallone and DeLuca. But why? The woman realized it was too hard for her to relive the experience in court, and she wanted the press to leave her alone. On the other hand, Stallone's rep maintained that the claims were ridiculous and categorically false, and claimed that just because this incident happened years ago means it doesn't have any credibility. Sadly, in the end, the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office ruled out the case, since there wasn't enough proof to charge Sylvester. And even though he got away scot-free, this incident sparked a lot of debate about the influence that actors have on the press and media. Many people even wondered whether one of the women dropped the case because she was worried about the backlash she'd get from Stallone's fans and the press. But you know what's crazier? Even before these two incidents happened, the Hollywood star allegedly even paid his half-sister, Tony Ann Felitti, millions of dollars to stop her from publicly accusing him of abuse. According to the New York Post, this deal was done back in the 1980s when he was at the height of his fame. Documents show that Sly paid her $2 million plus around $17,000 per month, and even a trust worth $50,000 per year for mental and medical costs. Turns out Felitti also claimed Stallone caused her physical injury, but he's always denied any claims of abusing her. Hell, even their mother, Jacqueline, took Stallone's side, accusing Felitti of being a pill-popping drug addict who was desperate for money, and that Sly's only crime was that he gave in to her threats because he cared for her. Well, I don't know about you, but paying her an insane amount of dough instead of getting his half-sister proper help seems real fishy to me. But to support the star, his representative said that celebs are often blackmailed by their family members, especially when they reach the height of their careers, so that they can milk their success. But while many people dismissed Felitti's claims as lies, her son, who was 19 at the time, said his mother was made into a black sheep for telling him about the abuse before passing away in 2012, and he believed her. I guess we'll never know who was telling the truth, but what's clear is that even after all these incidents, Stallone has continued to disrespect women, even in the industry, especially after Pamela Anderson, in her 2023 Netflix documentary, spilled the beans about him offering her a condo and a Porsche in the 1990s in return for her becoming his #1 girl. Man, if you gotta pay a woman to be with you, that's a big red flag, folks. This cringy behavior didn't just end there, though, because after she turned him down, he allegedly told her this was the best offer she was gonna get. Wow, he must have had some insane confidence to hand himself out on a platter like that when Pamela didn't even want his rocky road. And as always, Stallone sent his lawyer to issue a statement saying he had never approached her like that. Man, this guy, and never owning up to his mistakes. A love story for the ages, but there was one incident where Stallone admitted he was wrong when he was found guilty of bringing a banned growth hormone into Australia. Get this, the 76-year-old had to pay $13,000 because he didn't have a legal prescription for Gentropin when he visited the country. And here's the kicker. Not only was he caught with 48 samples of the drug in his bags, local officials later saw him drop 4 bottles of testosterone from his hotel balcony before they could search his room. In the end, the Rocky star apologized for his terrible mistake, and it so happened that the court couldn't find evidence of substances being used for anything other than cosmetic or medical purposes. You see, when the incident happened, Stallone was in Australia for 3 days to promote the latest Rocky film, and he told customs officials he was carrying a lot of the drug because he wanted to look good and muscular for an upcoming shoot in Thailand and Myanmar. Speaking of, there's no doubt that Sly is an amazing actor, but the question is this: is he actually a skilled screenwriter too? Because in 2010, he came under a lot of fire for plagiarizing screenplays. Basically, when The Expendables was released in 2010, the script looked very similar to the work of another writer, David Callahan. And funny enough, up until people started making those connections, the Rocky star claimed he wrote the script himself. It was only later that Stallone admitted he had read Callahan's original story titled Barrow and used parts of it to arrange The Expendables, after which a WGA judge decided that Stallone and Callahan would share writing credits. Callahan was given story by and co-writer credits, but the main problem here was royalties, since Callahan could get profits from both the original movie and any sequels. I mean, think about it. The Expendables made around $275 million, while the sequel brought in over $300 million, and that's not counting VOD and home video. There was, of course, a lot of money to go around, and Callahan wanted his share. But the legal team for New Image, one of the production teams that worked on the Expendables movies, wasn't happy with the results of this hearing. They filed a lawsuit for what they thought was a faulty decision. What's interesting here is that another writer, Marcus Webb, also came for Stallone for allegedly making the Expendables based on his story, the Cordoba caper. He sued the Rambo actor in federal court, and when Stallone testified, he told the judge that Barrow was made independently before Webb's story. But guess what? He also said that he liked Barrow and used its format as a model for his own story, which seems to be the opposite of what he said at the WGA appeal. Funny that, isn't it? Anyway, the judge said that there wasn't enough evidence, seemingly a running theme in Sly's legal battles, to show that both movies were strikingly similar. But you can't ignore that Stallone said very contradictory things, which makes his credibility in this case null. And that's just the first Expendables film. Did you know the Rocky star wrote both the sequels with other writers? Probably not, because turns out those writers have not been given credit anywhere in the movie. Also, while copying screenplays is a big thing in the world of filmmaking, many people said that Stallone's case was different because of the power he has in the industry. As a veteran in the world of Hollywood, he has experience and connections to get away with stealing scripts. Keep in mind that Stallone actually started out as a writer, not an actor. Considering he was nominated for an Oscar for writing the first Rocky, people have been wondering whether that script was also ripped off. Well, there you have it. From allegedly passing other directors' screenplays as his own, to denying multiple assault allegations, these were Sylvester Stallone's most controversial moments.